And welcome back to the podcast. And Rob, you are so very lucky because
you chickened out.
Because it wasn't chickened out. It is, when you record something, not having the microphone plugged in, you kind of like, wow, I just did that. And I said that was the last time.
Oh, so you're a man of your word.
Yes.
Very good.
Yes, man of my word.
We were just spared from Dave's Zed impression for another Police Academy review, but he was getting better at it too. It's almost a tragedy.
Yeah, well, why even bother? I mean, Zed's going to be, this is his final film.
Zed is going to be lost in this movie anyhow. He doesn't get a whole lot of screen time, so we're of course today going to be talking about Police Academy 4 and
Citizens on Patrol.
Citizens on Patrol, thank you. And I did not hate this movie like I did the second movie.
Really?
So this is not going to be an angry rant.
Wow.
No, it's not. Because it at least had some funny moments to it, which is what you're supposed to have in a comedy.
Yeah.
But it was a fatally flawed movie. Anyhow, so tearing apart is going to be fun. However, we're going to change the format up a little bit because after listening to some of our previous podcasts, I talk too much, right?
Possibly.
Yeah. Thank you for being diplomatic. Yes, I talk too much. So what we're going to do instead of listening to me break down movies scene by scene by scene, I always thought that was a positive because it would allow the listener to imagine the movie playing out if they've seen it before so they can relive it. But quite honestly, it makes for a longer review and a lot of times doesn't really bring up much, especially when not a lot happens. This movie is so fragmented and all over the place that individual scenes don't have a lot of impact. So basically what we're going to do instead is I'm just going to give an overview of the movie real quick. And then Dave and I are going to break down the different scenes that we thought were most notable, what worked, what didn't work. Our biases, because we come into this with some biases. I have a big bias.
My bias is still no Barbara.
Yes. See, this one was a movie where just about everybody who'd been in one of the prior police academies returned for at least a cameo.
Right.
Except for Barbara.
Yeah, no Barbara. Or George Martin.
George Martin. No, Stuhlman, thank God.
Oh my gosh, I can't even remember which one Stuhlman was.
Stuhlman was the schlub from 2. The
slob. That guy.
Yeah, the guy who ate stuff off the ground and his dog. And yeah. So
we got Copeland back, but no blanks.
Really?
Yep.
Oh, that's right. You're right.
Yeah.
So yeah, there was there's still a lot of people. There's a lot of people in this movie. So we're just going to crack into it. So anyhow, Police Academy Citizens on Patrol. Obviously, the plot is Citizens on Patrol. Commandant Lassard came up with a plan to introduce everyday citizens into the policing process to help out the police. And the higher-ups, the governor and everybody, are really taken with it. So for the most of the movie, Lassard is not at the police academy. He is off pitching his program to a big policeman's ball overseas. And while he's gone, the best part of this movie is that Harris is back.
Yay!
We have Captain Harris now.
Yes.
Who is running things while Lassard is gone, and he still gets to revel in being evil and disliking the Citizens on Patrol and doing his best to sabotage it, which is awesome. It is definitely a bright spark in this movie because his counterpoint, which drags the movie down horribly. No. I'm not. Okay. I'm going to just get this out right away. Yeah. I hate David Spade. Not because I know him. I don't know him. But I don't think he's done anything good since Saturday Night Live. He always plays the same character.
Not even Tommy Boy?
Nope. Obnoxious, annoying, can't stand his character, and he always plays the same character. This whiny, slacker, sarcastic little,
And he still plays that as like a 50-year-old.
Yeah. And it's the same character. So he's in this movie. I don't like him. I'm not going to beat a dead horse to death. I will not refer to him anymore.
Who do you like, or excuse me, who do you dislike better more? Could treat like a Razzie Award here. David Spade or Bobcat Goldthwait?
Oh, David. God, you are harsh. No, but in this case, I'll say David Spade. And he wasn't as offensive in this movie as he is in a lot of other movies either. But he's in it all and doing his full-on David Spade, so he just annoys me. And And as a matter of fact, in many of my notes, I just reference whenever he's on, I hate David Spade. So even I didn't underline it there, but I should have. So anyhow, so yeah, he's in the movie because there's a subculture of skateboarders. This doesn't really have a big part in the movie, but for some reason they make a point that this is to draw it into the 80s. So it is the 80s movie. From the wacky soundtrack title, which is...
I know what happened.
Yes, go ahead, Dave.
They watched Back to the Future when that came out, and they saw McFly doing the skateboard stuff. And then by the time that was out, they were probably already writing Police Academy 3. So by the time they got to Police Academy 4, it clicked on them. They're like, I know, skateboards. Kids like skateboards. Let's have skateboard punks in this movie. And they're all like, yeah, good idea. That's probably what happened.
But as far as them being punks, they were the most harmless punks you'd imagine. It's just that Harris went off on these kids.
Yeah.
That was it.
Yeah.
They were just guys on skateboards, not even, doing anything, no vandalism, no anything. They were as
Just
clean as it comes.
Skateboards.
This did lead to a couple of skateboarding montages with people doing tricks who were actually professional skateboarders. Were they professional at the time? Some names like Tony Hawk got thrown in there for doing the stunts for a very short period of this movie. After that, they kind of helped out the story in a very, very slight way. Other than that, though, the Citizen Patrol thing goes on, and that gives them an excuse to bring everybody into this movie, from Fackler's wife from the first movie.
That was the last movie.
Oh, geez. They're all blurring together now.
Yeah, that's the problem with the Police Academy films, is they begin to... especially 4 and 3 and 4, they kind of merge together because there's some things that are similar, different, and you think they're one movie, and that's why some people probably think Harris is in all of them.
This is what happens when I go off my notes too. But at any rate, the Citizen Patrol program has several setbacks for some of the new characters that are in it. Harris is delighted. Well, I guess, David Spade and company are in the Citizen Patrol. Mm-hmm. They're shoehorned in, so... Yeah,
shoehorned, kind of like how Mahoney was forced to go to the academy.
You would think, then, that you would give them some reason as the Citizens on Patrol to get on skateboards and do cool stuff. They don't do that, really.
I wouldn't put it past them for film and stuff, but probably didn't fit the story.
Probably got cut off the editing floor. Like I said, everybody got shoehorned in as much as they could for at least a cameo, a little bit here, a little bit there. I don't know. Maybe they had planned on ending it at 4. Maybe it was just something they added on later with 5, 6, and 7.
I don't know. I never came across anything like that. I think it was just contracts probably expired by the time they get to 5, and some of these guys are probably doing one contract per film, and at some certain point, some people say no. I mean, the returning of Kirkland, the character Colleen Camp played, she, I believe, wasn't in the other films because she was busy doing other movies, but I guess she was able to squeeze in like a day or two, which is why she came back for the scene at the dinner table where the dad announces he's going to join the Citizens on Patrol, which leads into the typical Kirkland father-son decking each other out.
Yeah. And, of course, this all winds up with the Citizens on Patrol being suspended because of hilarious miscues.
They got suspended later on in the film when... And this would happen in real life, too, I believe. Like, if you really had a program like this, you'd get some overzealous person who's, like, really pro, I'm going to get you punk kind of character. Although this is an old lady doing it. I called her Grandma Tackleberry, because she was just the old version of Tackleberry, an old lady. Like,
one of my favorite characters, actually, in this movie.
And she, the reason why the program gets suspended is because she essentially ruins an FBI raid.
Sting operation.
Yeah, the sting operation. When she sees some stuff going on, she blows her whistle. This is a citizen's arrest or whatever she said. And then, you got some of the other citizen guys getting involved with some very dangerous situations. Anyways,
yeah,
a little over the top, but whatever. It's a movie, I guess.
It ends up in a big mess. And then... Proctor does something stupid. He frees some prisoners who take the delegation from the policeman's ball group, takes them hostage, puts them in jail, gets out with their guns, and then the chase scene, which by now we're all familiar with the chase scene for Police Academy. They always have to do something different. And this time it's aerial.
Yes.
Hot air balloons and biplanes.
And everybody knows how to fly a plane.
Yeah.
Even the bad guys. When I was watching this, I couldn't help that. Okay, out of all the places these dudes drive to, they drive to this aerial thing, and then some people jump onto an airplane, some of the bad guys, and then some bad guys like push people out of a hot air balloon. Oh yeah, you're really getting away that way. No. Hot air balloon.
Well, if the police didn't have the to get into their own hot air balloon, theoretically they just had to cross county lines and they'd be safe, right?
I don't know. I think then the other counties would be like, oh, look, there's some bad guys in the balloon up there.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll just wait for them to come down. That
always works in movies, though. You cross the state line and you're fine. Anyhow, okay, so they all get caught, and that's the end of the movie. So that's the brief overview of it. If you've seen this movie, you're probably going to have your favorite moments, characters, and whatever. So Dave and I are going to go over our favorite characters from this and least favorite characters. So first of all, we had the core return.
Yeah.
We had, of course, Tackleberry. We had Jones. We had Hightower. We had Mahoney. We had Callahan. We had a little bit of Hooks again. And Sweet Chuck. Those were the core.
In this movie, the previous movies would spend a lot of time introducing each one in their own little segments.
Correct.
This one, however, pretty much put everybody in one room right away in the beginning.
They had to. There were so many people in this, they didn't have a choice.
Yeah. The film. Another reason why we kind of discussed this, not to do an in-depth scene by scene thing, is because when I was watching this movie, the thing I noticed in this movie, it was kind of just cut and pasted almost everywhere. There was really no consistent flow. I mean, you could go from point A to point B, but things I noticed were jumping back where things should have happened earlier, and then instead it was pushed to later. I noticed this kind of stuff when I watch movies, and I noticed it more so with this one than I did with the other Police Academy films.
But for the most part, it still hit the formula pretty well.
Yeah, they hit the formula. I mean, they had a goal.
They had certain jokes that you have to do, like swapping Mace for Rygar deodorant for Harris and him burning his armpits.
You want to hear a funny story?
Yes, let's hear the funny story.
When we were, right before I decided to rewatch this, now I know mace and pepper spray are different things, but essentially be used for the same thing. This might be kind of an embarrassing story, but whatever. I don't know why. The other night, my wife happened to have a pepper spray thing, and she wanted to see what it looked like.
Okay.
So she sprayed it in the garbage can.
Okay.
Except that stuff is pretty potent. It comes back out. So she started coughing. I just assumed she drank something wrong tube. Kind of happens to her a lot. And I'm like, what, did you drink something down the wrong tube? Blah, blah, blah. And I walked.
So she didn't tell you she was doing this?
No. So I walk into the kitchen area, and then all of a sudden I took that breath, like, what's going It was some pretty potent stuff. I'm like, oh my gosh. I'm like, what did you do? And it shows me, and it's like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I'd take the garbage out right away, open some windows in this nice weather that we got in this Wisconsin area here. And
yeah, that's
it took a little bit, and everybody was walking, what's going on? It's like, I guess it was orange.
Was it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's supposed to leave a mark so that police can identify the person you sprayed.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So it's supposed to discolor.
Yeah, so it was very... Yeah, and then later that night I put in Police Academy. So when I saw the mace scene, I was just thinking, we just kind of experienced something a little similar.
Yeah, I didn't know it left any kind of physical burns, though. I thought it's mostly an irritant for the lungs and the eyes and the whole nasal everywhere. But I don't know, maybe skin contact isn't good either.
For For the mace, yeah. Well, maybe he shaves his armpit, so maybe it just got into the pores.
That's gonna stay.
Maybe, I don't know. I know I'm not gonna analyze the scene that much.
But that goes along with the line of the higher up that's causing the group trouble, having some sort of hygiene problem. And the after effect showed Harris coming into a classroom with his arms stilted up.
Yeah.
Which, okay.
Well, Harris got hit twice in the movie. He got hit with the mace scene, and then he got hit with the super glue in his megaphone.
Yep.
Which poor Harris.
Which reminds me of the megaphone in the mouth, so he had the mouthpiece on, and they're like, have to wait till the damn glue wears off. Does super glue wear off? That kind of defeats the purpose of super glue.
Maybe on the skin with like being by his mouth and the lips and the saliva.
No, it's silly.
I don't know.
No.
Maybe the doctors know him and they just told him that.
Yeah,
maybe so. That's what happened. That's what happened.
Glue doesn't wear off like that.
Yeah.
If you wait for your body to shed that many skin cells, so it might come off. That might take weeks.
But getting back to Harris, though, I mean,
yeah, he didn't get nearly as messed with as he did in the first movie.
No, but he was certainly overzealous when it came to those skateboarding people who shall remain nameless.
I think a skateboarder did something horrible to him.
Yeah, they must have. I mean, earlier in the film, he's demanding that all. Squads to this area, get a chopper in the air, road blockades. We will get these two little punks. That's all they were searching for.
Yeah. Who never, that we saw, did anything wrong. They did some skating tricks to put, at least their doubles did.
Yeah.
Which could, in a very long look, possibly be endangering the public, if that's about it. Endangering themselves, because, did they have helmets even?
No.
Yeah, okay, so they're endangering themselves, but...
That was probably before... It was the 1980s.
Yeah, that's true.
People didn't wear helmets
back then. That's correct. Safety was never an issue.
No elbow pads, no nothing. Although, another story, this happened just a few months ago, we were driving down Scott Street, and I literally saw a guy skateboarding, just like hardcore skateboarding on the sidewalk, and he must have missed something, because I saw him flip backwards, and bam! I was like, oh my gosh. I look in my rearview mirror to make sure he's okay, turning back. Yeah, he's getting up, he's walking, but that's why you wear your pads and helmets, people.
Okay, so outside of the formula, they hit pretty much everything, including the crazy chase at the end.
Yeah,
including some interesting aerobatics. Again, and the assumption that everybody knows how to fly a plane, because biplanes are easy to fly. So, Dave, who's your favorite character introduced to this movie?
Introduced?
Yeah, obviously, we like the originals, right?
Whoa, yeah.
We like we all like Tackleberry and Hightower and Hooks, and they're fine. We like them. They're a known commodity.
How about reintroduced Harris?
Oh, this
okay, no.
This would have been dragged down into test suck level if we'd still been dealing with Mauser.
There's really nobody that sticks out to be like some great character, but I'm just gonna go for probably the best character.
The poetry girl who's the love interest for Zed.
Oh, how about the one that's Claire, the Sharon Stone character?
Who's she?
She was
the reporter.
Yeah, she was like the love interest for Mahoney in this one.
I just have monocolor unijumpsuit reporter.
Yeah,
that's it.
I Sharon Stone. I think of Total Recall or what's that one that she's famous for with Michael Douglas? Basic Instinct. Even though I never saw that, but
really, it's a good movie.
Yeah, but she's, and not only that, she's probably
never looking at an ice pick the same way again.
She might still be the biggest star out of all these actors.
Oh, without a doubt.
Yeah, I mean, her career, I don't know where it's at right now, but
I don't think she's done it.
Sharon Stone.
Yeah,
Sharon Stone in the Police Academy movie. Okay, I'm sold.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, the characters that stuck out to me, but I don't really, the character of House.
Yeah. Was he a football player or a rapper or something?
I don't know what he was. I never looked him up.
I couldn't remember, and I don't care.
Yeah, a little big.
Mrs. Feldman was my favorite. She's the little old retired lady who has her personal room in the senior center was a barracks.
Yeah,
with camouflage and netting, and Tackleberry falls in love with her.
Oh yeah, because she's Grandma Tackleberry essentially. I mean, she's into the guns and all the military stuff that Tackleberry's into. Perfect.
Sweet little old lady, but she's yeah, exactly. And she made an interesting character that stood out in all these other characters like House, like the skateboarders that didn't really do that. Despite the fact the skateboarders got a lot of screen time relatively.
Yeah.
They got more than Hightower did.
Oh my.
And that goes to another gripe of mine, is that so many of the characters just did not get used again.
Yeah.
Hightower, Hooks from the original. Maybe they were busy or something, but the amount of time they had was basically relegated to cameos.
Yeah. That, again, the problem when you have such a ensemble of people, and you're introducing new people on top of the people that are already there before. It's difficult to have a balance.
Lots of juggling. And then you emphasize Zed. Apparently,
Oh
in the
my-
80s,
yeah.
people like Zed. They gave him a romantic story.
A love
they gave him
story.
probably more screen time than anybody other than Mahoney again.
Yeah.
You know, it was his poetry slam in the
It was
beginning.
his movie.
Yeah.
Even in the beginning, he was the one out there selling the Citizens on Patrol more than the other actors getting scenes to do so. I'm sure they did a lot of scenes filming various ones, and they probably put them all together, which explains why some of this movie seems like chopped and paste and all over the place, you know. But Zed got a fair amount of the stuff, and even in the deleted scenes, there was more Zed delivering Citizens on Patrol stuff. It was like, wow. And I believe those deleted scenes made it to TV airwaves because if a movie is too short, they will add extra material.
Who came back in this movie that you were happy to see besides Harris?
Who came back?
Yes, because as I said, there were a lot of callbacks from some of the previous movies.
You know, I think Proctor. I like Proctor, and the Proctor connection with Harris seemed to flow a lot better, even to the point where Proctor and or the guy that plays Harris, you know, people associate that character with him more than they do with Mauser.
True, despite the fact that he'd been in since the second movie, and he spent 2 movies with Mauser and 1 with Harris, but he and Harris just clicked together. Yeah.
I mean, they work off each other great.
When Harris goes, Proctor, it sounds more natural than even when Mauser does it.
Right.
So with him, he's like calling for a dog to be scolded. With Mauser, it's like, oh, help me, Proctor.
You know, and I liked when Copeland came back, but Copeland seemed a little too mean, really. I mean, for some reason he, you know, like as a police officer decided to push this kid off the skateboard for like no reason. He wasn't really doing anything. And I was like, ooh, that's overly jerky.
Well, he's been a jerk.
Well, right.
Yeah, he tried sabotaging the entire police academy.
A stupid
his
jerk.
Own.
Yeah.
You know, the stupid one, Blanks, is not with him this time, but
Copeland
makes up for it.
Copeland was the one that was more of the idiot in the other films compared to Blanks.
Yeah.
But maybe that Blanks is separate from him. Maybe he was able to form off into his own. I don't know, but he made his little comeback, and he was gone in a couple scenes, and then that was the last we ever see of him.
Yeah. Most of this movie was kind of revolved around one-hit sight gags. It really ticked off every 80s thing that you needed from a comedy movie from the 80s. You had the skateboarding, like you mentioned, and Dayglow clothes. You had the elements of hip-hop starting from the soundtrack, the opening.
Citizens on Patrol.
So yeah, I mean, you're going to try to tick off every single 80s thing. You had to have that. The wacky chase scene. The jokes are not really set up like the first movie was. It's boom. Comic jokes, sight gag, comic jokes, sight gag.
One-punch jokes.
Yeah.
Wait. Some of these were, for whatever reason, the reoccurring joke that was going on too is the Zed and the sweet checking basketball, and because he kept going into the basketball hoop.
He did once, yes. He got launched by House from sitting on the wrong side of the bench, and House is this enormous man mountain. And he sits on the other end and launched him.
And the second scene is when he's climbing the rope, his shoes fall on Zed, and Zed swings him off the rope, and then he lands in the basketball thing again.
Yeah, so there are callbacks.
Yeah.
Yes, they still amount to one-hit jokes because unless you really remembered the other movies or had just seen them.
Yeah,
but yes, there were plenty of callbacks, which is fine. But honestly, I thought the best part of the movie was something that wasn't a callback, and it actually involved something horrible happening to David Spade, which made me feel good.
Oh,
We're talking about where House and the two skateboarders are called on because they are ready.
Oh, yeah.
They are convinced that they are beyond all this rookie stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So the team, Jones and Mahoney, grab them, get them dressed, load them into the back of a van, and say they're going out on location. And then they get to location, and they're told to stay at the van. Jones and Mahoney go off. They make a loud caterwauling sound. Jones makes gun sounds. They come back with a body bag and a really tall-looking Rastafarian.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yama.
Yes, they throw them all in the back of the van.
Yama,
The rookies and the body bag, telling them that is the body of this man's brother that they had to kill. And yes, then what was the character's name again? Dang it, I wrote that down. Is Badula. And they put them in the back with Badula and his dead brother. And sure enough, he starts getting voodoo-y, spreads some stuff on the body bag, and all of a sudden you hear a chainsaw rev, and chainsaw starts cutting its way through the body bag, and everybody runs away. And haha, it's Hightower as Badula, and Tackleberry was in the body bag. So
with a cheesy hockey mask to represent Jason. Ish.
How dare you say that they would actually represent a character from another movie?
Well, that was the other popular film series back in the 80s. I mean,
Sure.
You're seeing Endless Police Academies, which was the comedy spectrum, and then you're seeing Endless Friday the 13th, which were the horror spectrum.
Yes.
With Freddy Krueger in between.
And it worked, too. I mean, the music and everything. And honestly, Bubba Smith makes a pretty freaky-looking guy when he wants to.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the audience is in on the joke to some extent. But it actually did a pretty good job of setting that stage and actually setting up some
it's this creepy
some horror.
Scene. I mean, as a child, I used to watch horror films. And there's that time period when I was watching this movie. That scene really stuck out to me as a kid. I remember that one vividly.
And then the chainsaw coming out of the body bag and going down.
Yeah.
Supernatural, because no real person would run a chainsaw when they're inside of a body bag with said chainsaw.
Oh, Tackleberry would, though.
No, he wouldn't. He'd be sawed up. You can't do that. There's no room.
All the other stuff we've seen Tackleberry do in these films, he'd be dead already.
Yeah, probably. But so yes, the rookies get their comeuppance. It was a good joke. It worked. It was funny. Definitely in my mind, it was the high point of the movie.
Yeah, I would agree. It was good, and I mean, it for a minute you almost would think that this was a scary film. If you come right into this, right, you're channel surfing in the old days. Like some people channel surf yet, don't they? Let's just say you're channel surfing.
If they're not binging.
Back before you could click on the TV to see what it is, now you got so much stuff that help you out. But let's say you're watching this film on TV from years ago and you're just flipping the channel. You don't know what it is. You got no TV guide. You see this thing going on and you think you're watching a horror film. I could believe that for a little bit.
Really, a really little bit.
Until you realize, it's one of those police movies.
Yeah. So yeah, individual jokes in there. Yeah, there's a bunch of them, but none of them are really that impactful.
Yeah,
I broke down. Even I started losing some of my detail as I go through the notes. It's
Proctor
just kind of
in the porta potty.
Yeah, Proctor in the porta potty with a crane. They put him on a football field. Which
I'm trying to think of. Okay, how did this crane come from that area to get it to that area?
All the way to bring him into the middle of a football field.
Yeah, and dang, he was in there for a long time then.
You don't want to think too much about it. That's basically the thing. Myself. You don't want to think about it.
That's too risky, man. I don't want to be the guy under the crane doing this stuff and then you accidentally drop it. Never mind him dying. I don't want all that blue crap on me.
And Lassard tells a podium joke in there, which is another good callback.
Yeah.
That was fun.
And do you always work podiums?
Yeah. I put down in for me all caps. I never want to hear Bobcat sing again.
Oh my gosh, that's right.
Oh,
when
so
he was
bad.
Trying to get that girl of his, which he was playing a harmonica and a guitar and
they were all hippieing out
and he's I can't do it.
No, you shouldn't do it. That's good.
I can't even sing. Let alone Zed sing.
Yeah. That's fine. It's if you've heard it, it's still scarred into your memory probably.
Yeah.
I mean, we had Nagata and Callahan hooking up again, which is cool.
But it's interrupted with a little jailbreak.
Yeah.
Which I chuckled. I don't know why I chuckled at the jailbreak scene. For whatever reason, seeing everyone come out of the jail, like, typical 80s thugs, and then on top of it, ninjas, like full-blown ninja suits. And they're all running out of the police station, and they're putting on their ninja masks and everything. I'm like, what the heck?
Yeah, there's some. You don't want to think too hard about this. Tackleberry gets caught in a bank robbery, which is hilarious, and he is saved by Mrs. Feldman driving through a window on a motorcycle.
Yeah,
that was funny. Like I said, the comedy isn't bad. It's wasted potential because it's spread so thin that they can only deliver on one-hit notes. Really.
One-hit wonders.
Yeah, but it's not bad. The humor when it comes in is pretty solid. My suspension of disbelief got pushed too far with the chase.
Oh, yeah. The plane chase stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. My problem is these are the Metropolitan Police Department. And in every other Police Academy movie, every scene, you see the city. But by the time they drive out to the where the air show is going,
they're way out in the country.
They're not just way out in the country. You don't even see the hint of the city anywhere. Which
like pastures and
right, like they're like really really far out from their jurisdiction.
Yeah,
really far out.
And then we're going farther out by imagining that they can all pilot these things. They know how to fly airplanes and hot air balloons. And that, it's absolutely no problem to go climbing on the wing of a biplane and jump from one to another and just...
That's what I mean. Tackleberry should be dead by now. He'd been dead before. He'd be in jail before the first movie ever came out.
Yeah, one would have to think. It just...
And even some of the random...
You felt it had to be done, but...
Even some of the random Citizens on Patrol guys, after the thing was disbanded, are all driving together in a van.
Yep.
And they're able to rescue Harris and Proctor. Again, why are they all the way out there? It beats me. Driving an ambulance, let alone.
Yeah.
That one really blew my mind.
Well,
I said, this film had there was a lot of stuff that I think they shot and cut out, obviously. I mean, as someone who watches a lot of documentaries about film, it's surprising that some of your favorite movies that are like 2 hours long, you find out that when they put together a rough cut, you're looking at like a 3-hour movie. In some cases, not all, but some cases that happens. So you got to start cutting down from that point on. Kind of like my first Police Academy review. I turned that 2-hour thing into like 45 minutes.
Yeah. That's pretty much the movie. Unless you've got some insights, Dave, there's just not a lot to write about.
We talked about some of our favorite characters, and then we already know somebody you don't like, but
there's a list.
Yeah. For whatever reason, that lawyer, the Buttersworth or whatever, See, that's the thing. He joins the Citizens on Patrol thing, and then you only see him for like a couple scenes after that. And he's
like Sarah from the movie before,
right?
The mousy girl that you never hear from again,
right? And he's the one driving the ambulance, to rescue Harris and the other guy.
Hilarious because he's a lawyer, and instead of chasing the ambulance, he's driving the ambulance.
Yeah, and he, Police Academy 4, out of all the Police Academy movies, actually has a section for deleted scenes, and these were the scenes that were aired for television. And one of them is when they recruit, and I remember seeing this one on television, when Mahoney and Jones going to recruit the Buttersworth character. That's his name, the lawyer, and it's just this big old. He's a crappy lawyer. His desk's a mess. Everything is going against him, somebody's knocking on his door, breaking through his door to get him because he cheated him, etc. That was that extent. And I believe they had another deleted scene with him. Another subplot that was missing from the movie. Not really missing, but
missing. No, there wasn't room for anything.
It didn't need to be there. Was Harris was trying to put the moves on the Sharon Stone character.
Ooh.
Yeah, Like
That's creepy.
like Mahoney and her were on a date. He drops her off, and then there's scenes where Harris comes knocking on the door with the flowers. Now, if you remember, another gag that went on with the movie was that's where Hightower's dog went, because Harris had an encounter with the dog, and the dog had to get this mutt out of here.
Because it went after his happy place.
Yeah, so, Sharon Stone's character agrees to take the dog. Well, Harris goes to her place, and guess what? The dog's there, so you get this whole scene with Harris and the dog, and, you don't see it, you just hear the commotion, and then she comes out, and Harris was attacked again, and
I remember seeing that from the TV version.
And I do believe that there was another scene where he was trying to woo Sharon Stone again. I mean, it was kind of nice that they put this on there. And I know you dislike Police Academy 2, but I do wish that they put the TV version deleted scenes on that too, because I think that movie had a couple as well.
It had a few I can vaguely remember, but
Well,
I don't want to. It hurts my brain.
A movie like that's got stuff filmed. I found out watching the Halloween documentaries for the original film that some movies are actually shot as written and put together pretty tightly, where they don't really have to do a whole lot of editing. I found out that Halloween had to film things specifically for television. I did not know that. I'm like, wow, I thought usually movies have like pools of deleted scenes, or maybe stuff they couldn't really do, but there were 2 scenes they added. They had to go back and shoot for television, which I'm like, wow. Yeah. I just assumed they took from the stockpile that they had, but I guess not.
No. And I guess the better actor or the better directors, probably the more frugal directors, probably are pretty tight and know what they're going for.
Yeah.
It's the ones who are more scattershot, like, Peter Jackson, who will overshoot, who ends up with that trove of extra footage. But
even
that just means so much has to end up dead on the cutting room floor.
Well, even like James Cameron, when he did Aliens, and he cut out like a lot of material, but he made special editions that made the film longer.
Yeah.
Those were subplot, plot point, you could add it back in, it works great. And when the Blu-rays came out for the first time, he had even more deleted scenes separately.
Jeez.
And those were just tiny little snippets, like tail ends of one thing or beginnings of others, or very, very tiny stuff. So, even from that aspect, it looks like that was shot pretty tight versus like Police Academy 4, which I think they just had an overabundance. The film was nominated for a Razzie Award.
Shocker.
Yeah.
I'm trying to hide the surprise in my voice.
The Razzie Award nomination was for that horrible song.
The opening for it, and Dave still cringes when we bring it up. It's not good. It's, well, when I said that they tried to hit every mark on the 80s list, a hip-hoppy... Michael Winslow performed this thing.
Is this when rap was like the thing and they're trying to be
rap and hip hop? This really wasn't rap, but it was definitely hip hoppy, and it wasn't good. Especially since it had some Michael Winslow comedy kind of in it, using his voices and stuff, and it just wasn't that interesting. It didn't add. And, all in all, he's talented for what he does, but it just, that deserved a Razzie.
Yeah, it lost though. So it's not the worst song of 1987.
At least they didn't think so.
There's a lot of last things in this movie. A lot of last. This is the last time we're going to see Mahoney.
Yeah.
The last time we see Zed.
Yes.
Last time we see Sweet Chuck.
Yeah.
Let's see. I believe that's about it. Oh, it's the last time we see the Blue Oyster Bar.
Oh.
Yep. They
did have the fun Blue Oyster Bar, and that was one thing that kind of torqued me a little bit, because again, it's Harrison Proctor.
Proctor forgets again.
Surprising! What, he doesn't remember where his favorite place?
Not only his favorite place, but place how could you forget after you've been there naked?
One would think.
Yeah, so he's very he's very like, yeah, maybe he's just forgetful. Somebody must have passed his test for him.
I guess.
Yeah, somebody, the test got mixed when he was in the police academy, and someone else got booted out while he was there. Or maybe he was part of that first group in the original film. We just didn't see him.
Okay.
Anyway. There we go. That's how Proctor got in.
Sure.
He was in part 1, and we just, he was with the other gang.
Anyhow, so yeah, that was that. Any other fine points to bring back? Any characters loved or hated? Everybody's heard how my venom sounds like when it's unleashed on people and characters that I don't like. Dave, you don't say a bad word about anybody. Was there anybody who didn't work for you or anybody you didn't like?
I have not in this movie.
Really?
I think once we get to Police Academy 7, that's where it's like it comes out like full blown. There's some issues I have with part 5 and some characters, but nothing major that would cause me to go on a rant. Specifically, I'm
not normally a ranty person, but something about David Spade makes me do that, and Bobcat Goldthwait apparently.
We're just not watching the movies where I would go on a full rant about, I guess.
Fair enough. Okay, so
each Police Academy movie from this point on gets lower and lower in terms of how much they bring in for the box office in the 80s. I mean, what would we say part 1 was? That was up there in the top 10, I believe.
It was.
Anyways, Police Academy was the 6th biggest film of 1984. Total of $81 million ish. Police Academy 4, 1987, topped out at 44th place for only $28 million. So these movies are just making a decline, and I guarantee you that decline continues for each film that comes out.
Now I'm just curious, was that box office?
Yes, the total box office.
I have a feeling, more than a feeling, that they probably made as much getting the rights to show this on TV as they took out in the box office any day.
They very well could have. I mean,
because this was a very friendly movie for TV.
Mm-hmm.
Very little editing that you had to do. The one hit in comedy would work fine for people just tuning in.
It still made a profit because they wouldn't have made the sequels after that.
Sure.
It probably cost like $8 million to make, let's just say, and it still made $28 million. So the studio sees it as a profit.
But I'm thinking this was probably really lucrative putting on TV
for
quite some time.
Yeah, and
that's where I remember seeing it myself.
Ironically, the biggest movie of 1987, which this would not happen today, is 3 Men and a Baby.
I don't know about that.
You know who else stars in that? Steve Guttenberg.
Yeah.
So he had a big movie that year, and that might contribute to why he's like, dude, I was in the biggest movie of 87. I'm not going to do another Police Academy movie.
That also might have to do why he wasn't in this movie as much.
Depends when they're filming it. Comedies are typically easier to film versus big sci-fi epics.
Sure.
So...
But I'm just saying, he might have had some commitments that took him off of the consistent. So that's why they had to bring in so many other characters. Wow.
I mean, you got again, from my perspective, a lot of good movies that came out in 87. I mean, Good Morning Vietnam, from what other people said. I haven't seen it yet.
What?
You got Lethal Weapon, which I just watched the other day, actually. Lethal Weapon.
I don't know you. Where's Dave? Bring Dave back.
Dirty Dancing, Predator, Throw Mama from a Train. I like that one. RoboCop, yeah, La Bamba.
We have to do a movie where we just go through an entire year, talk about our effects of the movies. Because here's the thing. Let me see your list.
Eddie Murphy Raw has even made more money than Police Academy 4.
Okay, so if we're in 2019, going over the movies of 2018, we just had a little thing called the Oscars. Out of all the movies for the Oscars, I have seen one. I saw Bohemian Rhapsody on the day of the Oscars. Now, this is why I'd be much better at doing this kind of thing, because looking at the movies, number 1, 3 Men and a Baby. I've seen that. 2, Fatal Attraction. I've seen that.
I didn't.
Fair enough. 4, Good Morning Vietnam. Saw that.
Nope.
Number 6, The Untouchables. I've seen that.
I saw that at school.
7, The Secret of My Success. Fox. You saw that? No? Oh my gosh. Nope. 9, Lethal Weapon. I've seen that. 10, The Witches of Eastwick. I've seen that. 11, Dirty Dancing. Unfortunately, I've seen that.
My mom would watch that every day.
That was my stepsister's favorite movie.
Yeah, my mom would watch that when she would clean and I think Dance with the Broom or something.
Oh, I have scars. Yeah, my sister probably did the same. Predator, yeah. Throw 'em out from the train. Love that movie.
Mm-hmm.
Dragnet, was that the Dan Aykroyd
one, yeah.
Okay, that was pretty good.
I've seen that.
RoboCop is 16, seen that. So I have a lot more to say about these movies and how I felt about these different planes, trains, and automobiles. Good Lord, there were a lot of good ones there.
Yeah. 87 was a good year.
Yeah. So we got to do that one of these times. But
Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
Yeah.
That's got a great scene.
It's got a couple. We'll have to review it. We'll have to review it.
Yeah.
Save it for the review. Okay, Dave. We've just been talking about this movie. Final verdict, final score. What are you going to give this movie?
Well, before I give my score to the film, I'm going to point out that Police Academy 4 did make more money than Jaws the Revenge.
Okay.
So it wasn't that bad.
It's not, again, I never said it was bad.
No, I'm just, I just get a kick out of that. Let's see. Again, because I converted to your way of doing some of this, it kind of...
Yes, come to the dark side. We have cookies.
5. I could give it a 5.
Okay, 5 being fair, I believe. Fair to
mediocre.
Okay.
I do it. The multiple issues I have with it is just it's jumping all over the place in the end. Maybe 5.5. 5.5 more so. 5.5.
Okay. I'm actually giving it a 6.
Oh, wow.
Because it does what it's supposed to do. It is funny. It will make you smile at some points. It will make you laugh out loud. It still has great characters, just diversifies in directions that I don't really think they should have done to make the movie funnier. They concentrated too much on characters that weren't all that funny or had just a one joke range, and that was it. Some of they really needed some editing to pull off some of the extraneous stuff and concentrate on the things that actually were moving the story and being funny consistently, and they didn't do that. It was nice to see all the different characters. Making them as mostly cameos was fine. It's when they, explored on some of the other characters rather than focusing on the core. I thought it was a shame, again, that almost no Hightower, just the one big joke, and that was about it. Again, relatively little of Tackleberry. Not even all that much Jones for this one either. Some, but not a great deal. So instead, you've got just this massive pile of all these other characters, and just trying to point out one or two things is actually kind of a struggle outside of, the body bag scene in the back of the van. It didn't have a lot of punch, but it wasn't dreadful. It wasn't hard to watch. It was a little groan-worthy. That's why I gave it a 6 as fair.
And this is why music for me is very important in films. I could have given it a 6 myself, or maybe even a 6.5. But the point is that song is so jarring and horrible that, unfortunately, it takes over the Police Academy march, which it's funny is when I was watching this the other day, it brought a smile to my face when I would hear it. But hear the Police Academy march, or the themes, but then every now and then it would go into this weird music direction with not only the Citizens on Patrol song, but this thing when House is introduced, you get that house, whatever was going on with that piece of crap music. I'm like, oh my gosh, why are they doing this to me? Why?
Well, at least you can't say you weren't warned about the direction that the series was going in by that time.
Yeah.
And, like I said, you have to look at movies in the context of when they came out. And this movie was 80s to death. Almost literally to its death because, well, as we see, when they take the next corner for 5 and beyond, it just keeps going down and down and down.
Yeah.
The cash cow does dry up after time, but yeah.
Unless if I sit there and watch it again, at this point in time, I think that I'm pretty sure 5 goes a little lower, but there's a slight little nudge up for 6. But I'd have to see again.
Well,
when I watched these all originally, it was all on Thanksgiving.
Oh my, that's a binge.
And by the time you guys listen to this stuff, we're way past Thanksgiving, unless if it's Thanksgiving 2019.
Right. So, but that is Police Academy. If you liked our new format, feel free to drop us a message. We'd love to hear about your thoughts on how we put on our content.
Hi, Dad.
Hi, Dave's dad. And in general, if you've got a different direction you want us to go, we're going to finish up the Police Academy movies. We've got 3 more to do.
That's it. Yes.
Yes. Unless you want to do the animated show too.
No.
No, we're not going to do that unless we get some requests out there. Then we're going to go. We still have some Indiana Jones movies to do, 3 of those. And I've got some ideas for what we can do with a session coming up soon.
I still want to watch that Wizard movie.
Yes. We've got a couple of outliers out there that'll break up some of these series too. So until next time, we are still Dave and Rob. We are still back to the podcast. And we want to thank you for joining us for another spirited episode. And we hope that next time you will catch us back to the podcast. Farewell.